What's up everyone, I'm Poker Trainer Nick, and in this video we are going to see a comparison between CGC and PSA when it comes to the graded slabs. So stay tuned to learn about some of the processes involved and my own personal opinions on the subject matter. So before we get too involved, I want to go ahead and remind you to hit that like button and subscribe to this YouTube channel. It really does mean a lot to me. Up on my desk, you'll notice that I have two different slabs for the same Pokemon trading card. So this is both Electabuzz from the Pokemon first movie. On the left here, I have CGC, and on the right here, I have PSA. Both of them were graded an 8. Now, in this video, we're going to see some comparisons about the slabs themselves and the overall process that it takes for PSA and CGC, and then maybe some of the value that you get. So some of the value of these trading cards after they've been graded by each of these organizations. So let's go ahead and start things off. I actually have 4 cards here, and there's a reason for that. I'm going to get to them in a second, but for now, I'm going to move them off to the side, the others, and we're going to just evaluate just what we see here, the 2 Electabuzzes, since they have the same grade. Now, slab-wise, with CGC, I've chosen to get subgrades. PSA does not offer subgrades on their grading service. Now, these subgrades were for an extra fee, and I'm going to get into the fees soon between each of these services. But there are subgrades here. The slabs are different material. So, for example, the CGC slab is thicker than the PSA slab. Now, it doesn't look, probably looks kind of similar on the actual camera. But in real life, in reality, this is without any kind of precision measurement tools. The PSA slab does look noticeably thinner. As far as size-wise, though, they are pretty much the same size, even though when you're looking at them in person and you're feeling them in person, the PSA slab does seem smaller overall. Now, when it comes to the actual slab material, and there's a reason why I have these other cards here, and I'll tell you some stories as well. They lock differently, so they stack differently. So I'll start off with the CGC. So if I put 2 of these CGC slabs together, they do have ridges. They are held kind of in place, so they are stackable, but they're not tightly stackable, so they can move around. And when it comes to shipping of these, so shipping does have an impact, and these being kind of wobbly does impact the quality. So for example, if you've been keeping up with these previous videos that I put out on CGC, because I've received quite a few cards back from CGC, I did get a lot of damaged merchandise. So the slabs came back damaged. So they actually arrived. I've had 2 different types of cards come back. I've had cards come back in slotted cardboard. So they've been separated very, very thinly by cardboard, kind of like you would see in a drink holder kind of placement. And then I had foam as well, which were a little more spaced out as well. But they didn't come without problems. So because they get thrown around a lot with FedEx, UPS, USPS, those kind of mailing services, it causes damage to the slabs. So I've had damaged slabs that I've had to ship back because of all the vibration and all the movement that you see in the slab. Now, PSA, I've only had 1 shipment as of now come back with cards. I've had packs come back. But even though that they still do have a little bit of a wobble, they are locked in pretty tight. So if I move these around, they're not going anywhere. They're not gonna scrape against each other. The back is not touching the direct front. The lip of the card or the edges of the card is causing it to be elevated a little bit. So it feels like it's probably pretty safe. Now, when I received the PSA cards back, they came in a box. They were all stacked together like one big brick, and they were wrapped in bubble wrap. They had no cardboard in between, nothing like that. And I as of right now, I haven't had as much cards come back with PSA as I did CGC. So there's a possibility I got lucky. I don't know. But I feel like the type of case that you're working with PSA, it's probably good for moving the cards around versus CGC. And a lot of what I say in this video, it's going to be opinion based. So you may absolutely love the CGC card slabs more than the PSA. And I'm not saying that I don't love the CGC slabs. I'm just trying to compare some of my real life stories that I've had with these graded slabs, some of the facts behind the shipment processes and things like that, to give you an idea of a comparison between these 2 services. Now, if I move the extra cards around. So these are both 8. So CGC has their own standards when it comes to grading Pokemon trading cards, and PSA has their own standards as well. It's more obvious when it comes to CGC when you get the subgrades, because you have a grade for each of the things that they grade for. So whether that be the centering or the surface or the corners or the edges. So for the centering, it'd be how much of the outline is there on one side versus the other? Is there any kind of whitening on the card itself? Things like that. And if I hold this up to the camera, I know that it's going to be hard to see, but I'm going to slowly move this around so that way you can see if there's any kind of issues with this particular card. And then I'm going to show you the same PSA card, which although we don't know what the centering was, we don't know what the edges were because they don't list it on the actual grade. We can make our own conclusions based on the grade that it received and hopefully what appears in this camera video. So I don't know. To me, they both look pretty good. I can't tell the difference between an 8 and a 10 in most circumstances. I know that it's a lot more difficult to get a 10 with CGC. I don't know. Maybe they have higher grading standards. Who knows? But they grade differently. You don't expect your PSA 10s to grade a CGC 10 or your CGC 10s to grade a PSA 10. But it should give you an idea based on the quality of these cards. If your cards match my similar quality, then you can use your own best judgment. So let's dive into some of the pricing models and shipment models so that way you can get an idea of the two processes. So up on my screen, you'll notice that I have CGC up. So we'll start with CGC and we'll move over to PSA. So this is the pricing and turnaround information for CGC. So everything that I've done up until now, well, with the exception of one kind of oddball video, I've done bulk. And for this particular video, my comparison is going to be around bulk and value plans, not the more expensive tiers. So when it comes to bulk, you're being charged $15 per card for just the grade. If you want subgrades, we scroll down. So subgrades are an extra $10 per card, and they add another 5 days to your plan. So that brings it up to $25 per card if you want subgrades on your card. Now, I didn't pay $25 for my card. It was a lot cheaper when I did it. So when I did it, I paid $8 per card. So $8 per grade plus $5 for the subgrade, bringing it up to $13. So it was cheaper when I did it. And I did it actually. So I sent this particular Electabuzz in like around the January, February timeframe, and I got it back in the May, June timeframe. So it back then, and when I say February, January timeframe, I mean 2021. So 2021, it took about 4 or 5 months to come back. Now, right now, what they're advertising is they're advertising 185 days. So when I shipped it in, they advertised a lot less. So I don't know if this 185 days is accurate. This is 185 working days. So I don't know if they work on the weekends. It could be Monday through Friday. So reality, you could be looking at a full year to come back, depending on what they consider working days. Like I said, my CGC cards came back in a few months. It's still a long time. 185 days is half of a year pretty much. So it is quite a bit of time. Now let's go over to PSA. So PSA is a little different in how they calculate their amount of time it takes to grade your cards. I'll talk about that before I talk about pricing. So this is a chart that they have on their website. This chart gets updated from what they claim to be daily, and it kind of advertises where they are in their grading process for current batches of cards. So I went with the value TCG, and that's comparable to the CGC bulk plan. So value TCG, they're saying that the complete through is January 31st, 2021. And from what I understand from the literature that they sent out, this is the oldest card shipment that they have in their shipment or their facility that they're working on. So they may have newer card shipments that they're working on, but this is the oldest one that they've completed through. And you can see on the side it says 26% of February. So this is February 2021. We're actually in 2022 calendar year right now. So they're 26% through February, but yet the last complete through date is, or the oldest card shipment is January 31st. Now, what does it mean for completion? So does this mean that when you shipped your cards to PSA in February of 2021 and they received it, does that mean that you're part of this group? It does not. So for context, so this Electabuzz on my desk is, I actually shipped it in on November of 2020, not even 2021. They received it in November of 2020. However, they didn't enter it into their system until February 2021. So I received this back. A few days ago. We're in January of 2022. So I fall under this category. They're grading cards based on when they've entered them into the system. So these dates are based on when they're entered into the system. So you could have your cards shipped to PSA and they could sit around at PSA for 6 or so months. I don't know. It varies by person. And then when it finally gets entered into the system, that's what you're going off of as far as complete through date. So it's a little, the process is a little weird in my opinion. But you know, it took a little more than a year to get my cards back, which is kind of up to par with what CGC is right now. So value TCG for PSA is not currently available. They have this service tier shut down as of right now. I don't know when it's going to come back. I don't know what the turnaround time is going to be when it comes back. But this is what they're graded through right now. So that's kind of how you can judge it. In terms of pricing, I mentioned that I paid $8 per card plus $5 for a subgrade for CGC. So this Electabuzz right here. For PSA, I paid $10, flat $10 for this card to get graded. I don't know if PSA is going to raise their prices for the value plan. They did for the other plans that are currently available. So it's very likely that this could be maybe $20 per card. I really don't know. Even if it's at $20 per card, that may not be bad, considering that the CGC is $25 if you want the subgrades on it. And let me talk to you about subgrades and kind of retail value of these graded slabs, because it may influence your opinion on the two. So if I go over to eBay, so this is eBay, this is PSA. So what these slabs are going on PSA. So for example, these two cards aren't particularly valuable. They were when I shipped them in. They were going over for over $100 when I shipped them in, but the Pokemon card craze has let down a little bit. So this card, and these are last sold. So these are not what people are trying to sell them for. These are what these are actually sold for. So the PSA 8 last sold for about $15. Now, if I go to the other tab here and I scroll to CGC, it was last sold for a little bit less. I mean, this one doesn't have the subgrades, but if you search around eBay for grading based on CGC and PSA, you're going to find that more often than not, the PSA slabs for the same grade go higher. So they're being sold for higher amounts than the CGC cards. So if you're planning on reselling your cards, PSA is still king for the trading card grading services. Doesn't matter how fast CGC turns them around or how strict their grading process is or what their slabs look like. PSA is still kind of the top dog when it comes to Pokemon TCG grading, because that's what they do. CGC has a history of grading comic books. They are like the #1 comic book grader around the world. But when it comes to trading cards, PSA is still on top. So it's different things to consider. So I mean, like I said, I have my own personal opinions. If I were to do this again, based on the current prices, so if PSA continues to charge $10, $15 per card versus the CGC of being $25 per card because I want the subgrades, I'm going to continue with PSA. They have been around the longest. They are the most well-known when it comes to the services. They are trusted. For that reason, it's not the only reason, but it's one of the reasons why I would choose PSA over CGC. And that's even with the wait times. I mean, CGC is on about a year, could be about a year, half a year, somewhere around there for turnarounds. PSA about a year, which is really a long time. Honestly, it's longer than I feel like it should take, but it is what it is. But based on how close they are in prices and timelines, it's hard not to choose PSA, unless of course you like the way that these CGC cases are. I mean, you get the subgrades. That's a pretty cool feature. The case is clear all around, whereas the PSA, you've got a frosted look around the edges, and it's just a different appeal. Now you can't see it in this particular video, but the PSA case feels like it's half the weight as this CGC case. So this is significantly lighter on PSA. It feels lighter, like the whole plastic, just touching it feels lighter. So it's not just a weight thing, it's a touch too. Like I said, it locks in, it's more Lego-like. I feel like this might display a little better than the CGC, but this is where my opinions are getting the best of us right now, and I'm leaning towards PSA when it comes to the grading services. So I hope that I kind of put my own thoughts out there, so that way if you're on the fence about where you want to get your cards graded, consider a few things. Consider what your slab looks like, what it is designed like, not just what it looks like. So how do they stack? How can they be transported? Are they going to hold up to wear and tear down the future, or are you going to have to get them reholdered in the future? Think about that kind of stuff. Think about the pricing between the two. Are you getting any kind of real value over one or the other? Because they're similar right now in pricing, and they even have similar timelines. Think about the timelines, how long you're going to be out without your cards. And then if you're trying to resell them, look on eBay. Don't look at what people are currently trying to sell their cards for. Scroll down, and then you'll notice there's the show only for completed items and sold items. Look what these items are actually being sold for, because people are asking for outrageous prices. If you look for this Electabuzz card PSA 8, people are asking for like $400. They're not going to sell for $400. You got to look at what the actual last sold price was to get an idea. And like I said, if the reason behind you grading these cards is for resale, take it into consideration. Am I going to get more money with PSA, or am I going to get more money with CGC? And then just the overall look and feel, what makes the most sense to you. I'll probably do another review video or a comparison video like this in the future. It's not like I'm never going to get CGC again. I'll probably get one in the future. Their slabs, these slabs will probably be changed over time. They may have different ones over time. Their policies and procedures might be different over time. Who knows? I may explore it again. But for now, this should give you an idea. If you like this video, please take a minute to hit that like button once again. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Keep an eye out for some of the other videos that I did. I did do a tutorial in the past regarding how to ship your cards to CGC. As soon as some of the value tiers open up back again for PSA, I'll do another informational video on how to ship them to PSA. I also have my various unboxing videos, so you can see the quality of the shipment material that CGC and PSA did, how my cards might have been damaged, just the overall experience, to give you some ideas. Because at the end of the day, at least for me, it's kind of a lot of money to ship this in. So you want to know what you're getting into. Until next time, I hope everyone has a great rest of their day.